Hey, oh, sorry about this. Looks like I'm going to have to do this in segments like I did with my other one because I'm doing it on my phone and it's rubbish. Um, so, as I was saying, yeah, right up, I had to do stuff what you didn't want to see. It was a lot of green. A lot of green was involved in tissues and me swearing and cursing. But I should be okay now for a few minutes at least. So Roy Thomas, like I said, he's a he's a classic comic writer. He's written old major characters for Marvel and for DC as well. I used to love, was it the All Star Squadron? What he did, I loved that, and he did what Infinity Inc. I think he created that as well, which was like the All Star Squadron or the Justice Society. It was their children, so it's basically like the Earth 2 version of the Teen Titans, and it was such a good comic. Again, I'm old, so I know all this good stuff. So initially it starts. The first bit it goes on about is the world would never be the same again. The first wave, 1961 to 64. So it's the first 4 year run of Marvel's superhero comics. Because obviously before then, Marvel did do comics, but they were all more like monster, romance, army, thriller, that kind of stuff. Basically, what it was like in the UK. Because in the UK, we've never really been a superhero um, place. We always veered more towards action and science fiction. Like our biggest comic in the UK is 2000 AD, which is basically about a fascist cop. uh, and yeah, we have things to think of as Miracle Man. Obviously, now Marvel's got that. They should have stayed independent. And Captain Britain, but very few superhero comics in the UK. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. I'm full of gold. But yes, so it's got some really nice. It shows like the old, so amazing fantasy and adventures with how Marvel were. I love this. Then it shows the Fantastic Four on a panel from it. Look how square they are. Oh my gosh. They've changed so much. They really have. I love the Fantastic Four. I think they are my favourite superhero family. I mean, it's. I think the reason I like Fantastic Four so much is even though the superheroes it's very science fiction based, and I'm a sucker for old school sci-fi. And they like gave it to me in spades. I loved it. Yeah, so it goes all about their history, and it's got really nice reproductions of original pages. Like this is beautiful. I'm going to be reading this tonight. Can't wait. And there's plenty of writing, but there's so many reproductions of classic covers and interior artwork that it's amazing. If you're not much of a reader of books, there's enough here, enough eye candy to help you along with it. And there we go, classic Hulk. I love Kirby's Hulk. I mean, if you think about how the Hulk is now, where it's like this massive, basically, it's just like a bag of muscle and that's it. Whereas back in the day, he was more like it was a modern retelling of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, who very much was still man-like, whereas now he's like 7 foot or whatever and 7 foot wide, and it's also featuring some of the others like Ant-Man. You forget that Ant-Man's been around for so long because he's like a D-list superhero, and I love Ant-Man. Again, I'm sure did it come out before the book, the amazing Incredible Shrinking Man, by the guy who did I Am a Legend, Richard Matheson. I wonder if they got it off that. Or I wonder they must have done because I think that was the 50s. Again, digressing. And then four, I have to go four because I've got a really bad list on my T and H's. But yeah, I mean Kirby. I hated Kirby when I was young, but now I can't get enough of him. Him and Dicto. Dicto. Yeah, anyway, those two guys, love them. But Kirby for the win. Yeah, I could look at his artwork all day. He's just amazing. And amazing adult fantasy. Marvel. That's the only thing I don't like about Marvel. I think that's my biggest bugbear is how they don't do adult comics for grown-ups. They used to. And then now I think now that Joe Quesada's left, what are they going to do? Is it just going to carry on being spin-offs and crossovers and relaunching series every 5 months? You know, I'm an adult. I want to be treated like someone. I don't think they know who they're catering to. And that amazing cover of Spider-Man. I've got to say, um, Ditko's Spider-Man is amazing. I mean, the line work, he's so clean. I mean, you couldn't get two artists who were so different, and yet they complemented each of him and Kirby. I mean, Kirby was very... Ditko was very clean and lean, and Kirby was like the opposite, is kind of chunky, and lots going on. But that's what made him so exciting. I love the Spider-Man issues. And the old school Iron Man, oh my god. I love that old grey costume. That's one thing I liked about, was it the first Iron Man movie where they showed the old costumes? I thought that was a nice tip of that, and obviously then it got very blur. And 4, never really got into 4. The only time I've enjoyed 4 is 4. The only time I've enjoyed him, anyway, the guy with the hat and hammer, is when Simonson took over. Oh, now in the UK there used to be a comic, I think it was the Hulk, or it could have been just before that, where they did reprints of American Marvel comics, but they'd have been black and white and serialised like we do with 2000 AD. And Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos was one of the stories, and I absolutely loved that comic. And the X-Men. No, it's funny, isn't it, how X-Men's so big now, and yet it was like the least popular title when it came out. And it doesn't get much love, the old X-Men. I mean, but I was lucky enough to get some reprints of the Neil Adams issues of the X-Men, and who's the other guy? Oh God, Stranko. Jim Stranko as well, and they were like, for me, oof, chef's kiss, gorgeous artwork. I just love. What I loved about Fantastic Four was things like Yancey Street and just how they humanised the heroes in it, and of course, the legend that is Daredevil. That yellow costume, I loved that yellow costume. I'm just going to quickly flag through that. There we go, it's got the first cover of the Avengers. I'm going to flag through because it's going to be a very meaty episode of Vice. Tales of Suspense, who's in that? Oh. Yeah, I think Tales of Suspense had... Oh, okay. Interesting. Got a villain there on Tales of Suspense, and the character looks very much like Doctor Doom, but it's not. And Ant-Man stars in that. The old Ant-Man comic was so good. Proper sci-fi adventure. And the artwork is just gorgeous. I'm a sucker for 60s artwork. Just quickly going to flag through. Oh, that's interesting. When the Fantastic Four went into space at the beginning, and the comparison of the real life astronauts, fascinating. Such a geek. Oh man, yeah, one of the coolest guys ever in Marvel. Namor, Submariner, amazing. Such a cool guy. The one thing I will say for Marvel, I love DC. I'm a huge DC head. Absolutely love it, but Namor is way cooler than Aquaman. I mean, Aquaman, come on. He looks like a ballerina. But Namor, he looks badass. He looks like he could rip your head off, doesn't he? I mean, yeah. You know. Nice bit of eye candy for the ladies. and a lot of men. Fantastic Four again, amazing cover. Right, I'm going to quickly move on because, well, apart from that, I loved that when they used to show you the plans of the Baxter Building and things like that. I was a sucker for that. I'm a watcher. Very, very fitting now with the multiverse. And it goes on about the Hulk. Now it's saying Frankenstein on its like, but for me, yeah, it's got hints of Frankenstein, but it's much more Jekyll and Hyde when you think about it. But yeah, oh yeah, mentioned on the next page. Hey, going before them. There we go. Oh, gorgeous black and white art of Thor. Nice page excerpt. Right, I'm just going to scoot on, and it moves on to some more Spider-Man around that period, early 60s. What we'll do for next episode, I think, I'm really into the Mighty Marvel Masterworks. They're like the compact digest size reproductions of classic Marvel from the 60s. And I love the format. Nothing wrong with omnibuses and all, but omnibuses are really hard to read comfortably. And I think old comics, the 60s comics, look so much better in an easy to hold format with a nice floppy cover. It just works. But I'll do that next episode and I'll show you what I mean. But I really do enjoy them, and the price is really good as well for what you get. I think because of coming from England, and I was raised on black and white artwork, so I love anything in black and white. Scorpion. I'm trying to think who my favourite Spider-Man villain was. I think it used to be any character. There's so many animal-based characters who were villains in Spider-Man, like Doc Ock, Scorpion, the Rhino, the Eel, and I think my favourite was the Rhino. I used to love the Rhino, but then Kraven's Last Stand came on with James DeMatteis. Oh, best Spider-Man story ever. And I'd love to have it. I had the original comics back in the day, sold them all. What an idiot! And I'll have to get the book again sometime once they reprint it again, because it's loads of money on eBay, on the old eBay. Classic cover, fantastic cover. It reminds me of the old Spider-Man cartoon from the 60s, because they do that shot on the titles. And one of the coolest characters ever, Doctor Strange. I was never allowed to read Doctor Strange as a child because my family were very evangelical Christian, and you were letting in Satan if you got into, and I always tried to sneak a copy in to read it. Explains a lot now. That's why I'm all corrupt. Oops, adjustments. And glorious Steve Ditko artwork. I love this size. It's a heavy book, but it's a nice, easy size to hold as well. Iron Man. Now, I always find Iron Man a very boring character. I mean, now Iron Man isn't Iron Man in the comics. He is basically just Robert Downey Jr. They've given him his Robert Downey Jr.'s personality. And nothing against that. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is a really great guy, but Daredevil. But he's just so one-dimensional. Man in a suit. Hey, and he's got a lot of money. And of course, like I said, Soldier Fury and Howling Commandos. I'd pay good money to see. Disney Plus should do a miniseries about Soldier Fury in the Second World War. It was a great comic. I love that. Right, and some of the classic X-Men. Again, another well-known cover. And that's an old-time classic cover. I was going to say I think I have that on a framed picture, but I've not got Captain America cover that's like that. There we go. And I'm just going to skip along. That is amazing. Johnny Storm bursting into flames in his suit. Nice crossover with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. And from the Avengers. That's great. And a really cool Daredevil cover. Spider-Man makes any cover cool. Fluids, and because I'm not feeling great, it's not alcohol. The old Coca-Cola or whatever brand. Yeah, it's Coke. Now that for me, that's geek heaven just there. I love the old school sci-fi stories. What's that from? Oh, it's showing the stuff what I did before I did the superhero comics. Millie the Model. Now this is my all-time favourite cover of any comic. I think it's just iconic. It makes you just want to buy the comic, and it's this one. The coming of Galactus, the coming of Galactus, and Silver Surfer, his herald. Always got me confused when they called him a herald because, obviously being a good little Christian child, I did Christmas carols and obviously Hark the Herald Angels. I was thinking, Silver Surfer? So bless. That was a simple chapter. There he is, my boy Rhino, in all his glory. And Mary Jane, coolest woman in comics. She was so sexy. A bit bland now, but sexy back in the day. Avengers, that is a cover as well, cover and a half. Is that John Buscema? I think it's John Buscema. Yeah. And there we go, Shield with Jim Steranko. Such a cool design concept in how he did his artwork, amazing. Right, let's just look at that, just fantastic. That's Kirby. And of course, I think this is one of my favourite characters of all time as well, Silver Surfer. With old Norse boy himself. And we forget how that Guardians of the Galaxy been going for so long, but how different they were back in the day. Their first appearance, they were based thousands of years in the future, but originally, and I loved that. I love Guardians now, but I loved that itineration of Guardians. Was it Starhawk? Yeah, Starhawk. And Vance Astro, I think, was it? But yeah, I was a sucker for Guardians. Whenever I saw them, I'd pick them up. Rawhide Kid. There he is, our boy Kazar. And Craven looks like he's hunting him. Oh, this was my jam when I was a kid. Conan. Absolutely loved Conan. And Surfer. Nobody could draw the Surfer like Jack Kirby. He just had the chops. Is it Kirby doing that? Am I going to... Yeah, Kirby. Joseph inking him. Look, amazing, gorgeous. Got to be easily one of the best designed superhero characters ever. But Kirby and his use of collage, gorgeous. Every issue what Kirby did in Fantastic Four is a classic. And it was Stan Lee's strongest storytelling. His waffle and his... waffle, I'm waffling. His waffle and his story, his Shakespearean style writing, where he explains every movement he made. He actually works in that because of the old cosmic flavour. Right, let's jump ahead. Another great. Is that the Avengers? Yeah, that's the Avengers mansion. Steranko doing the X-Men, so clean. Him and Neil Adams, just brilliant design work. And another artist who's very underrated, but I've got a lot of love for is Gene Colan. Easily top tier Daredevil artist. Not many people can do Daredevil better than him. And that is another classic Spider-Man cover by John Romita. Great artist, and I'm a fan of his son as well, John Romita Jr. And of course, nobody can do cosmic, multiversal good stuff like Steve Ditko. Absolutely gorgeous. He's got a bit on the old Spider-Man cartoon. I loved. It's still to this day, it's my favourite superhero cartoon. Some people on the Batman animated. I had Spider-Man. Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Iron Man and Captain America. Captain America's another character I've got a lot of time for when he's done right. A lot of times he's not done right though. Then we move. Oh wow, some of these covers. That X-Men one in the green with Polaris. It's so good. Another classic cover. Another Stranko goodie of old Nicky Boy. My voice has gone so deep today. A few days ago it was like really squeaky. Now it's gone because of my cold. Lovely. You poor people. And some more Stranko loveliness. And oh my goodness, that's a great Black Panther splash by John Buscema. Oh yes, another one who's my favourite, the original Captain Marvel. And I know people go, so you're one of those, you comic skater, you like the old Captain Marvel. No. I love the new Captain Marvel, I think she's amazing, but my boy Marvel, we go back a ways. I just think the whole costume idea, Jim Starlin when he wrote him, amazing. And of course another Stranko goodie. My goodness, this book is huge. There's over 500 pages. So I'll quickly move on to some more of the later stuff. So yes, so it moves on to, now this is my period when I was growing up, the 70s stuff. Before we do that, just another great Shield cover. If you can get hold of a collection of Stranko's Shield, buy it. It's just such a beautiful comic. Even if the story's a bit hokey, the artwork makes you forget. It's that good. Now we come on to the late 60s, early 70s, so you get into the cosmic stuff here, and this is this is what I lived for as a child. I was a huge sucker for it. Gorgeous. And of course the 70s, which was the Bronze Age. Conan, absolutely amazing. Barry Wintersmith, if you've not got his new book Monster, buy it. His artwork now is, oh my goodness, he's so good. There's not many people can compare to him. I mean, even back in the day when he was more like a Kirby kind of clone, he was great, but now he's unparalleled. But Conan, with him and Roy Thomas, amazing. Man Thing, Steve Gerber, one of the most underrated writers in comics. He was like, without him there wouldn't have been people like Grant Morrison, Pete Milligan, Alan Moore. Steve Gerber paved the way for putting a bit of weird into comics, making it cool. One of my favourite characters, nothing to do with hype on TV or films, but Warlock. I used to love him. But you know what my favourite one was when I was a kid? Wood God. I think it's designed by Keith Giffen, and I think he only had 2 issues. And I loved it. I always like characters who just looks a bit odd. Oh wow. Tomb of Dracula and the coolest vampire hunter blade. Yeah, cool. Tomb of Dracula was good. I could never read. I've only got into those as an adult because, again, having religious family upbringing, I used to just like look at these magazines like Tales of the Zombie, black and white magazines that they did, just dream about what they'd be like inside. I used to get the Hands of Kung Fu and things like that, but never allowed to get those. World of Lords as well. P. Craig Russell, I think it was, doing the artwork. Oh no, Neil Adams and Jerry Conway, but P. Craig Russell did come on later on. Defenders, my favourite superhero team apart from Fantastic Four in Marvel. Jim Starlin, just a genius. He needs a lot more respect from Marvel. I don't think they've given him such a fair shake of it. He should be able to, a lot of royalties. I used to get that, the Hulk magazine. I think I looked at the pictures more than read it because it always looked a bit intimidating compared to the colour comics from Marvel. It was quite dense. Enough said about Chris Claremont's Cats in Britain. Not a patch on Alan Moore's revamp of it. I used to absolutely. I read Star Wars comic before I saw the film. I saw the first film, when it came out in a double bill with Empire Strikes Back. So I only had what was in the comics to guide my imagination for years, for about 4 years before I actually saw it. So, and that Conan cover, just beautiful. And another bit of Barry Windsor-Smith goodness. Some Neil Adams, wonderful, wonderful artwork. Talent sorely missed now. Too many good artists have died this year. And just keep flicking through. Another iconic issue, The Punisher, his first appearance. I used to love the old school Punisher. Nowadays, I don't know. It's just I think it's just lacking a bit now. Dracula, great cover. Again, Marv Wolfman, great writer. That's what I loved about the 70s. There's so much weird comics, and I love weird. So that's why I love Marvel. I mean, that Doctor Strange cover is amazing. That is just fantastic. Who did that? Frank Brunner, another one you don't hear of much nowadays. Sadly, Man-Thing. I always refused to read Man-Thing when I was a kid because I was into Swamp Thing and I thought they copied them. I'm not sure who came up first, so it's just like a happy coincidence. Steve Gerber, and of course I missed out on treats like Howard the Duck's first appearance. And Steve Gerber doing fantastic storytelling, and Frank Brunner, a very underrated artist. I mean, that Howard the Duck cover is a classic. I used to like Howard the Duck when I was a kid, but I was disappointed because it wasn't funny. And I couldn't understand how he could have a comic about a talking duck that wasn't laugh out loud funny. There we go. That's the brain of a 7-year-old trying to process it. Shang-Chi. So much cooler back in the day. A bit sanitised now. And of course, that magazine was the thing that I used to look out for. When I was on holiday, we had like this little, called it chalet, but it's like a wooden hut where we used to go as kids with my mum and dad. And there's a little, like a farm shop at the bottom of the hill. It's on Pendle Hill, this huge hill, very famous hill, where the witches were killed or something. And there's a farm shop, and they had a little section where they had like magazines and all that, and they always had the black and white Marvel comic magazines. Oh, they were great. That panel layout is just absolutely amazing. I am a big, big Jim Starlin stan, really am. Warlock. Getting to the end now. This was another character who I loved. But again, I hate what they've done with him now. He's so bland. And just done away with what he was. Deathlock the Demolisher. That story was amazing. And the artwork as well. This is what annoys me with Marvel now. It's just so sanitised now, and everything's got to cross over, and they've got to have a big event every few months. At least with the DC events, they're contained and they are an event. Whereas Marvel, it's just crossovers. You can see they're just doing it to make you buy more books. And that's it. This is one I'd love to get. If they should do a deluxe of this 2001. Jack Kirby's run on it. Howard again. Howard's such a cool character. And of course, one of the most iconic issues, X-Men, the Dark Phoenix saga. And I hated it. I was a horrible child. I was never really a big fan of female characters when I was a kid. The one that changed it for me, I'm getting snotty again. One that changed it for me was Storm, when she had a Mohican, and I was like, oh, I'm in love. So I just needed a bad girl. That's what it was. Anyway, only finish on these 2 pages. Enough said about them, the better. Or less said about them, the better. But yeah, like I said, this cost me, I got it from a seller on eBay, a shop on eBay. Brand new.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Thank you, Alexa. I forgot she was on. She's always interrupting. I have enough problems to keep my attention going. But yeah, got it from eBay, and I think it cost me about £15, so you can find it online quite reasonable. I think Amazon do it for about 18, something like that, or in America be, I don't know, $20. But yeah, highly recommend it. That's going to keep me busy tonight. I'm going to be devouring nuts while I'm having my evening meal. So yeah, Marvel Asia Comics by Taschen. Gorgeous book. Nice, not quite heavy, but a nice handy size, easy to read, much more friendly than the bigger format hardbacks. I'm really pleased with that. So, a bit different for a change, and I hope you enjoyed that. And next time I shall do the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, which hopefully will be a lot quicker. Just great format books, they're only about so big, like a digest size. Anyway, speak to you later, and hopefully next time I won't be full of snots and doing nasty horrible things. Bye!